Support comes from Sunday Morning Cafe, presenting Resilience and Creativity, a concert and interview with Royce Martin, creator of Swag Time, and resilience researcher Dr. Tom Wagner on August 2nd, sundaymorningcafe.com.
This is St. Louis on the Air from St. Louis Public Radio. I'm Elaine Cha. One of my favorite sweaters in college was a powder blue wool cardigan with embroidered flowers across the yoke and ivory-colored half-pearl buttons down the front. It was an item I found combing through the racks of a Buffalo Exchange thrift store in Pacific Beach near San Diego. My friends called it my grandma sweater, not my grandma, but somebody else's. I prefer to call it classic. Well, what's new often has some connection to what's old or past. And while thrifting for pre-owned threads at secondhand shops isn't new, there's been a resurgence of interest in secondhand clothes, shoes, and accessories. St. Louisans Hannah Valentine and Emily Ortiz are co-founders of Drop Soda Vintage, a monthly market they started in STL to meet demand, especially among Gen Zers, for pre-loved goods. And they're here to talk about that. Emily and Hannah, welcome to St. Louis on the Air.
Thank you so much for having us.
We're so excited.
Great. We're excited to have you here, too. So let's start with a picture. If you could paint one of the most recent Drop Soda Vintage market, that would be great. So, what did it look like? What did it sound like? Emily?
Yeah. It looked like an amazing group of people excited to shop vintage and secondhand finds, families, babies, people with their dogs. We have coffee there. And it sounded like maybe an 80s soundtrack over people discussing prices and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And has that been true for all of the Drop Soda Vintage markets since you started a couple years ago, right?
Yes. So our first market was June 1st, 2024. So we just celebrated our 2-year anniversary.
Congratulations.
And thank you so much. It's been an awesome just journey with Emily. And our markets have expanded to not just a monthly vintage market at a core venue, but we've also expanded to vending at different businesses. So one that we recently expanded to was the Living Room in Maplewood.
Oh, sure.
We love the Living Room. My business partner, Emily, her fiance works there. And so when we vend there and we have our markets there, it's just a family event. Both of our families show up. We put about 30 vendors in the parking lot, and it is just an amazing day of buying vintage, women's vintage, men's vintage. And so, we vend at the Living Room, and we've started popping up at other venues as well. So we're just expanding our horizons and not limiting ourselves at all.
Mm-hmm. So Drop Soda. Why Drop Soda?
Yeah.
Who came up with this? Emily?
So I'm Drop Dead Vintage, and Hannah is Ghost Soda.
Okay. So a nice little mashup of the two.
Nice mashup. It was our first time meeting. We were at Seeds having lunch.
Yes.
And we were just talking about the idea of this vintage market we fantasized about. And we were like, we need a cool name. So Drop Soda.
Yes.
It was.
Yes, because in addition to the market that we host, we've each been selling vintage individually with our own businesses. So I've been selling vintage for 9 years under the name Ghost Soda, and she's been selling vintage for about, four years under Drop Dead Vintage. Yeah. So we're like, Drop Soda Vintage Market. It's
perfect.
100% original.
So vintage can mean different things to different people. For the purposes of what you all are doing, what qualifies as vintage? Like, how far back does it go? Are you focused on particular, eras?
Yeah. So technically, this is definitely a topic up in the air in our community, but what I personally define it as, anything 20 years or older is vintage. And retro isn't necessarily a timeline, it's more of an era. So retro would be like 50s to maybe early 70s. And then antique is anything over 100 years old. So that's pretty much the basic, guidelines for our community and the job we do.
So each of you was doing your own thing before you came together at Seeds. And Was there some sort of a gap that you identified or that you recognized that compelled you to go from that conversation over, a meal or coffee into what you launched a couple years ago, June?
Yeah, for sure. Me and Hannah both love in-person selling. And we were traveling with vintage markets all around America. We were going to Arkansas and Kansas, just all around the Midwest. And we were like, we want more vintage markets in St. Louis. It's our home. Like, we would love to not travel as much. So yeah, that's what brought us to put together Drop Soda.
Did somebody link the two of you up, or how did you meet?
So it was actually Emily's first market that she ever vended at. It was the Made with Pride market, which I don't think exists any longer. I think Golden Gems, reamped it, but it's in the City Foundry. So we met for the first time at the City Foundry at the Made with Pride market, and I want to say it was 2021 or 2022.
I believe it was 2021.
I believe it was 2021 as well. So yeah, we met at the City Foundry in 2021 at the Made with Pride market, and I literally remember our very first interaction was she was walking past me. We were walking opposite directions, and I didn't even know she was vending, and I literally stopped her in her tracks. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just wanted to say you are so beautiful, like you are gorgeous, because she literally stopped me in my tracks, like she, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, and she's like, I'm actually vending, like, do you know where I'm supposed to be?
I was so confused.
She was so confused. I'm like, I don't know either. And then it turns out she was vending, I was vending, and then we vended at another market the following week, and then our friendship developed, and then we went to Minneapolis together.
You bought a pair of white leather boots from me from my booth for $15.
I remember that.
And it's crazy to think about, like, past things that I've sold and, like, oh my gosh, I only sold those for $15. But you know what? It was a great deal.
For sure. So we started with markets, and we're going to keep doing markets, and it's only up from here.
Yeah.
So when people use the term thrifting, often they are thinking about the price point. It's $15 for a pair of white boots.
Right.
That's not a lot, especially given the kind of attention and care that is being put into selecting that item and making it available for other people. And then there's this community aspect. But one of the things I think that is worth talking about regarding secondhand goods is that it isn't limited to interest in apparel and accessories. It encompasses a very wide range of things that fill our homes, and through resale can be saved from already overfilled landfills. And Cassie Hage, you see this among students at WashU, where you're an assistant director of the Office of Sustainability, and you're joining us to talk about that. Welcome.
Thanks. Yeah, at WashU, we've really expanded our definition and scope of what circularity and reuse looks like. We're a large institution made up of lots of people and lots of materials, and sometimes we have these reuse programs that are driven like by one interested individual, and other times we have it at more of the systemic level. So thinking about if a building is going to be renovated, what do you do with the things that are inside of it? So we have a inverted triangle that we use to help guide. We call it the hierarchy of use. So we're looking at what is the highest and best use for these items, and we've chosen to put students at the top of that. How can we make sure we're serving students? And then we have other ways of plugging in with direct service community partners, resale partners, and then all the way down to recycling and then landfilling at the very point of the triangle.
So with the students that you have come into contact with over the past, maybe 4 to 5 years, have you seen an increase in interest in seeking out things that have been used by others that have still much more use left?
It's a little bit hard for me to gauge increase because a lot of the people that we're seeing are different things motivate students. Some are just cash strapped, so they're already thinking very thriftily. But we know that people are coming to our on-sale or on-site resale shops to seek awesome items that are able to be reused. So we do have clothes that are available and dorm essentials that are available for students to purchase that have been collected from other students. So there's always the economic case, and a lot of them are driven by the sustainability case. And then the thrill of the find is another huge driver. So finding that thing that is it's an awesome deal. People love that.
Emily, you are nodding vigorously. Tell me about the thrill of the find. How does that?
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, that's the reason
best
we do
part.
it. That's the reason we do it. It's just amazing. Go ahead.
As
Emily.
well as the sustainability part.
For sure.
But just thinking of, I have an 8-month-old son, and he goes through clothes like crazy. I thrift everything for him because there are already so many things that have been made. And just the thriftiness, the price point of thrifting is amazing, the sustainability, as well as that thrill you get. So
Absolutely. Yeah. When you find that, like, it's so cool, and I adore vintage for this reason. It's when I'm at a vintage market or I'm at an antique mall, which, by the way, antique malls are so underrated. I love antique malls. I'm moving into a new apartment, and I'm going to all these antique malls. It's so fun. Anyways, sidebar. Finding when you're at a market and you find something you've been looking for, or it just screams you, like I most of my wardrobe is full of blue clothes. I just love the color blue. And so if I find something that's like, I've been looking for a blue coat and I find this exact blue coat that's vintage, like, first of all, what are the chances that somebody else is going to have it, you know?
for sure.
No, like slim to none, because it's vintage, and it's also going to be high quality.
Definitely.
And it's just, it's honestly a once in a lifetime find. I mean, I've been selling vintage for 9 years, and I've only maybe found the same thing twice, maybe 10 times, and it's maybe a more common brand. So vintage stuff, that's where the quality is at, that's where the uniqueness is at. And when you find a piece that just is so you, like, oh, it's just such an amazing feeling that you're not going to get at the mall.
No.
You're not going to get that feeling at the mall. You're not going to get that feeling shopping on, a fast fashion website. It's really just the thrill of the find that I think drives me with my job, and also the customers that come to our markets.
Definitely.
We heard from someone on social media who shared that, I think my favorite part of thrifting is that it's both eco-friendly and financially accessible. I don't go to the mall anymore because I know I'm going to find something I love just as much as anything I would find there for half the price at a thrift store. And I personally prefer thrift stores with minimal or no curation, like the bins in Midtown. So obviously what you all are doing is curation. And I think that the experience of being somewhere and choosing something that you would not have encountered had you not gotten there at that moment, someone else could have picked it up, that adds to the experience as well. But what you'd mentioned, Hannah, about moving into a new apartment, student bodies, that's a very sort of transient population, and they're always moving from place to place. How has WashU sort of kept up with the very real kinds of demands that exist for things like home furnishings, but to sort of put them into that cycle, the virtuous cycle of goods that can be reused?
Yeah, over the past decade and a half, we've developed a pretty robust ecosystem of reuse that involves making sure we're proactively collecting materials when students are moving out in the spring, whether that's on campus in the residential halls or for off-campus housing. And we've been able to have a warehouse on campus or like on one of our properties where we can aggregate those and basically solve that 3-month gap of when students are leaving and then new students are coming or students are returning. And so we're able to, just like you said, stop that behavior of just going, to Target or Walmart and stocking up on all the things because we have those here. So we're saving on packaging, we're saving their time, and of course all of the money and resources that go into purchasing those items that are, in most cases, are just 9 months old.
Do you think that Gen Z folks are approaching, that is, they're approaching sustainability differently than previous generations have, Cassie?
There's a lot of variation. I think that the people who are in it and get it and are appalled by fast fashion, they are tenacious, and we see a lot of them. We see a lot of international students, for example, that are just really, they can only come with a suitcase. So they're coming at it from a very practical standpoint. But I do think that generally there's less stigma about reuse than there used to be in many circles. Having high-end vintage is, I think, one of those ways of kind of breaking down stigma. And so, I think that there's, in general, like a big openness that maybe there wasn't. But we see a wide range of culture, economic access in our context. So it's hard to respond in a generalized way, I think.
Yeah. And Zoe, who's a junior at WashU, says, I think the challenge to thrifting from my generation is the stigma around it being poor or dirty. But I think the prevalence of influencers is helping decrease this stigma. So if someone has never shopped secondhand or vintage before, is there a piece of advice like this from each of you that you would offer, sort of a quick tidbit, Hannah?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would highly recommend, if you're not from the St. Louis area and you're listening, just look up vintage markets in your area. But if you're in the St. Louis area, highly recommend coming to our vintage market. We specifically do vintage clothing and accessories, and occasionally like home goods. Some people bring like signs or decorations, but we mainly do clothing. And we have men's clothing, women's clothing, all that stuff. So I would just say make a Pinterest board and come to our market. Come with your friends and try to match the stuff you find to the Pinterest board. I think that's the best way to curate your own style.
And quickly, Emily?
I would recommend Facebook Marketplace, starting there. Maybe, there are so many things that you, like furniture, like how we were talking, you use it for, back to having a son. Oh, we don't need this anymore, or now we need something new. I quickly love Facebook Marketplace. Find your favorite Goodwill or Salvation Army or like a thrift store like that around your area and kind of just go there maybe in the morning every day. Look for those new racks because that will be the new inventory. I guess start there.
Hannah? I'm sorry, Cassie?
Yeah, so I would say create networks of reuse. So thinking about within your friends or like parent groups,
definitely.
Are there ways
Very
that you
smart.
can do swapping? Use vintage or low-cost thrifting as a way to try a new style. So I'm mostly shopping out of the WashU pile, so it's all student stuff.
I love that.
I can be like, I would never wear that, but I can try it. And if I don't like it, I'll just redonate it. So I think it's a fun way to try things. And then I would also say take care of the things that you have, knowing that you're going to donate it
100%.
going forward. So clean them,
advice.
repair them, and then pass it along.
100%.
Cassie Hage is director of the Office of Sustainability at WashU, and Hannah Valentine and Emily Ortiz are co-founders of the monthly Drop Soda Vintage Market. Thank you all for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
And the next Drop Vintage Soda is happening on July 19th at Sweet Art St. Louis.
This episode was produced by Lila Halil-Bashich.
Audio engineering and podcast design by Aaron Dorr.
Our executive producer is Alex Hoyer.
St. Louis on the Air is a production of St. Louis Public Radio. Understanding starts here.
Do you find yourself regularly listening to episodes of St. Louis on the Air? Suggest us to a friend you think might enjoy our conversations. And leave us a review and rating on Apple Podcasts on the App Store. It's the simplest way to help people discover our show. Thanks.
St. Louis Public Radio is a member-supported service of the University of Missouri St. Louis.